Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Noelle and today we are talking about Garmin's suggested workouts function. Now this was first introduced in the Forerunner 745 when it was launched last year, and the function trickled down to some previously launched devices including my Forerunner 945 when they received a software upgrade. I'm going to take you through how to enable and disable the suggested workouts function on the watch. I'm just going to talk you through it. So I'm taking this information from the Garmin website. So you have to press the start button up here on the top right, and then either select the running or cycling profile. I'm going to select run, and then you're going to press and hold the menu button. That's the middle button on the left side. You go to training, then select workouts and select today's suggestion. Press start and select enable prompt. Now mine is currently enabled. If you want to disable that prompt, you'll have to press start, go to run or bike, and there's today's suggestion. You can press start again and you can see do workout, dismiss, and then there's also a disable prompt option there. So if you don't like suggested workouts, you can disable the prompt. So suggestions begin appearing when you have a training status based on a week's worth of training that includes heart rate data. So if you don't have a training status, for instance, you haven't worn your watch in over a week or you haven't done any training in a week, you'll have to start from scratch first, doing some baseline workouts so that the watch can determine your level of fitness, I suppose, your training status, and then it can start making suggestions so that you can increase your fitness level. What suggested workouts does is it takes into account your training status, the amount of training load that you're currently putting yourself through, your sleep quality or the quality of your recovery, as well as your estimated VO2 max. Now, Garmin estimates your VO2 max based on a bunch of factors that they measure, and they do have a separate running and cycling VO2 max value. Suggested workouts takes all of those things and it suggests workouts based on a sort of algorithm that will help maintain or improve your current fitness level. VO2 max is normally taken as a measure of cardiovascular fitness by many coaches. Recently on the MX Endurance website, one of our coaches released an article about what kinds of workouts actually improve your cardio fitness, and he mentioned that VO2 max is one of those measures. Now, if you really want to get your VO2 max value, you actually have to have a test for it. So you have to be wearing this mask which measures your oxygen uptake, and then they'll take your blood and see how much oxygen is circulating in the blood, that sort of thing. It's all very technical. I don't have a baseline number that was actually measured using the formal measures of VO2 max, so I'm just gonna take things as they've been measured by this watch. So I've found the suggested workouts pretty interesting and quite useful because it really does take into consideration my current state of being. For instance, I think it was last week or yesterday, and I didn't really sleep very well. So when I went to look at the suggested workouts for the day, it advised me to do some base trainings, which is really low heart rate, easy runs or bike sessions, because I had poor sleep. At other times, it suggests rest as well. If you've been training a lot, like the training load is a bit high at that point in the week, then it suggests a rest day. All that is well and good if you always do the suggested workout, but for someone like me who has several subscriptions ongoing, including Zwift, and on Zwift you do have races, group rides, and other events, sometimes the suggested intensity of the workout from the watch doesn't match with the suggested intensity of whatever session you were planning to do on Zwift. And I've done it in certain times. Like I was supposed to do a base session, and then I had a race plan, so I ditched the base session, did the race, because I was also still recording the data on the watch. The following day, the watch told me to take a break because I had really pushed myself hard on the race the previous day. So I have seen a few workout types suggested. There's this website called the 5K Runner. It has a table of different kinds of workouts. This is based on training and racing using a power meter. And so you have 7 zones and the kinds of workouts that you can do within each zone. So zone 1 is active recovery, zone 2 is aerobic capacity, zone 3 is tempo. There's a sweet spot which is somewhere between zone 3 and zone 4. Zone 4 is threshold, zone 5 is VO2 max, and zone 7, there is no zone 6 here. Zone 7 is neuromuscular power. Now, the suggested workouts that I've seen is just active recovery, aerobic capacity, tempo and threshold, and VO2 max, which they do in the form of sprints. All-out sprints lasting from 10 seconds. Suggested workouts only uses run and bike to suggest the workouts for you. And from my experience, it usually suggests the same kind of training session, whether it's run or bike. So for instance, it suggests you do a base session. Whether you select run or bike, it's going to suggest doing a base session. Now, yeah, it's great for me because I'm not really following a training plan, although I could follow the Garmin running training plan, which is in Garmin Connect. I'm just too lazy to do that. But if you're following a training plan from your coach and you're training in sports that aren't necessarily running or cycling centered, then you're going to run into some issues with suggested workouts because the suggested workout for the day might interfere or distract from what your program is trying to achieve. Because not all training plans have an increase of VO2 max as the target. For instance, if you're doing a focused low heart rate training block because you're trying to improve your aerobic capacity at lower heart rates, the frequent suggestions you get of doing threshold work or VO2 max work is just going to derail that low heart rate training plan. Additionally, triathletes tend to train with more fatigue in the bank than single sport athletes. So it's not uncommon to get 2 suggested rest days consecutively because the watch thinks that you're really fatigued, but as a triathlete, you do have to do certain sessions under fatigue to achieve a certain result, right? You're also discussing this on MX Endurance, and I told the athlete who was getting rest day suggestions twice in a row, I said, the watch is a tool. It doesn't know the purpose or goal behind your training, unlike a coach who knows exactly what you're trying to do. If the watch is trying to improve your VO2 max, but that's actually not your training goal, then it's going to be at odds with your training program. What I like about suggested workouts is it kind of removes the guesswork from your training because you know how tired you are, you know what kind of session you're probably good for. One of the cons of the suggested workouts is I think the workouts are quite limited in variety. Like I've only seen one kind of threshold session, one kind of base session, one kind of sprint session. A lot of the training plans that I've gone through have multiple different kinds of training sessions that want to achieve the same goal. So you're not super bored when you're trying to do it. Like for instance, if you're trying to improve speed, you can either do a track workout or you can do a treadmill workout. But when you look at the suggested workout, it just gives you kind of, it's called steps. So it gives you the duration of the effort, the duration of your rest period, how many efforts you're supposed to do, that sort of thing. Another strange quirk of suggested workouts is that going by pace and then going by heart rate. Those are two different targets. If you go by pace, sometimes the heart rate doesn't fit the target zone. And if you go by heart rate, then your pace doesn't fit the target zone. I do not know how to reconcile those two. So what I've done is if it's a base session, then I rely on heart rate, or I use the heart rate target type. And if it's a threshold or VO2 max sprint session, then I go for pace. All in all, my experience with suggested workouts is it can be a good tool for somebody who's just basically trying to maintain fitness. VO2 max it's a good measure of cardio fitness, and I guess all-purpose cardio fitness. But if you need to achieve certain goals, like for instance, you want to run a marathon or you want to train for a sprint distance triathlon, then don't rely on suggested workouts to get your workouts or your training plan right, because that's not what it was meant for. Again, you can load your training plan from Garmin Connect. You can sync workouts from your coach's training plan if you're using platforms such as Training Peaks or Today's Plan. I use Today's Plan, so I'm able to put my sessions on my watch if I'm under a formal training program. In any case, it's a nice tool to have, so thanks Garmin for including that. I really hope that the algorithm gets a little smarter, or you're able to tell the watch what kind of goal you're trying to achieve. You're not always trying to achieve VO2 max, and the suggested workouts can adjust accordingly. Alright guys, if you found this informative and entertaining, please do give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you again next time. Bye!